Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast, episode 30. We love to be on 30 already with your lovely and amazing host, Vladi
and Norman Greater. Hi,
and
guys.
hello, we say hello. Today's topic we picked because we realized that many people and friends we have one topic, and we just call it stress in general. And Vladi just had a great idea with a question we want to kick it off with.
A friend said to me, like, when you have all this stuff, you're trying to be organized and you're trying to, well, trying is not the great word, but yeah, it is in a sense that you just haven't got there yet. How do you choose what is really important and what matters to you when you've got like this endless list to do? And we did talk about previously how it's important to think about to create the list, which is called to-be list. So who would I love to be? And that actually sets the task you're writing for yourself. But let's stick with practicalities and let's actually talk about efficiency and to-do lists, because we do all have to get them. So she said, how do I choose? Because it seems like there's not enough hours in a day I can put this task in, and then it stresses me when it rolls into next day and the next day and the next day. So we know this exercise with Norman from Bob Proctor, and it was the T. We wrote on the piece of paper, just write T and write task, your name on the left-hand side and God's name on the right-hand side. I mean, if you're listening to us and you don't believe in God, you can write universe or, divine intelligence, whatever suits for you. And there are so many tasks, if you allow God to handle certain things and problems and challenges we have, and it's been proven even scientifically, when you allow this, don't touch this for 72 hours. Any huge challenge, a health challenge, diagnosis, bankruptcy, we're talking what we humans call a real challenge in our life. If you pause and consciously make a decision, what I mean consciously, remember you're only using 4 to 6% of your conscious mind. A mystic person's not here. So if you consciously choose that I will see you, you're talking to your thoughts and your feelings related to that huge challenge. So let's say you have a diagnosis of sorts or some health challenge. So what you do is you say, okay, I will see you on Friday, because today's Tuesday. So let's say I will talk to you on Friday. So you're intentionally moving your thoughts and feelings to 72 hours later, where you can energetically calm yourself. You will think clearer. You will put yourself in a place of much more calm and clarity rather than stress and overwhelmed in that moment. You start thinking of different perceptions. Perhaps you ask someone for help, but you leave this to the higher power. You put that on the list for God to handle. And anytime it comes back to you as a thought or emotion or, like, oh, I should really, no. Let's see on Friday. I will be fully present to you and we'll talk about this on Friday. And you intentionally and consciously move this. And I'm guaranteeing you, if you get into this habit with all these, challenges, more than half, I think it's close to 80% of the things, or let's say 70, just sorts itself. You don't even have to do anything. But with us adding so much energy into it and frustration just makes the thing worse. And we're not coming from a place of clarity. So when you come from a frequency and place of frustration, overwhelm, stress, panic, that is the result we create. So we have to calm ourselves, be general. Just stay general. Let's find peace and try and content into this calm manner, and then it will happen. Norman, what do you think?
I love the idea. And to stay calm or become calm is the first step. Now, if you should say, I get it, Vladi, but I have a list and nothing from the list will resolve itself. Now, I'm thinking about my list. I'm
Yep.
rewording my homepage. Now I'm starting with the English version and with the automatic emails that are being sent out. I could wait for another 100 years. Those things, no higher energy will solve for me because God won't come from the cloud and work on my emails. So nothing from those task lists solves itself. And the advice I want to give you, if you struggle, what you should do first, if your list has, I don't know, 20, 30 points, you could go with an advice. I think it's called the $25,000 method. If I remember correctly, it was in the 50s where there was a big and very successful entrepreneur. He had many machines, he had many factories, but he had a challenge that he was very bad in sorting out his to-do list. Like the question we had from Vladi's friend, how should I choose which is first? So he asked an advisor from an external company and he said, I will give you $25,000 if you find a solution and solve my problem with what is number 1, 2, 3, 4. So the advisor left and the next day he came back and said, sir, I have the solution. Let's just imagine you wrote your to-do list in the morning and it has, I don't know, 10 topics for the day. And you're just unsure which one is first. Just imagine your phone rings and it's one of your employees and he says, boss, you need to come. One of the big machines broke down. You're the only one that can fix it. I already called your driver, back in the 50s. I already called your driver and he's on the way. So I see you in the factory, I don't know, in 15 minutes. And you hang up and you know the driver is already on the way and you look at your list and you have the chance to do one of the things you wrote down, one of those 10. And the rest of the day, you can imagine you're just blocked with fixing this machine. But one task from your to-do list you can do before your driver appears. Which one would be the one where you say, this I really need to do, otherwise maybe other people cannot continue to work or income doesn't come in or whatever might happen. So out of those, let's say 10, you can only do one. And this you write on the new list as number 1. Then you have 9 left, right? You play the same trick again. You say your employee just called and out of those 9 you can only do 1 until your driver comes. And this becomes your number 2 and number 3 and 4. So you get the rank, I want to call it, into the list from 1 to 10. What you can also ask yourself when you say, out of those 10, what is really important? It depends on your values and what you want to achieve, because I ask myself the same. I have a very long list and it gets longer and longer. And if you watch the YouTube video, I just show it to you and some things are already highlighted. And very often I go through and say what comes first in my mind or what do I like to do. But the real question is, what's the original task and value behind it? And as we all have to pay rent and pay stuff for the car, I would suggest, and it's just my idea, you start with the income producing things. Like I could do from my list, let's see, a QR code for my car that I wanted to do. But as I get a new car in half a month, it makes no sense to put into any energy right now. It does not produce any income right now. So what's else on the list? Oh, I have to sort out my 5 free gifts that I have on my homepage with the new wording, with the new upsell. Oh, this could make some money. Then I start with that. So start with the things that are really important for you right now. And it could be also family. It could be not work related, but I don't know, passion related. It doesn't matter. But I would always start with the ones that bring some money in the bank, because the more money you have in the bank, the more people you can employ to help you with your to-do list. If you start the other way around and money generating things are last, you still have to do the same thing yourself. And that's quite sad.
I love that, Norman, because it's like, actually, guys, think about what Norman just said. If you're wearing too many hats, whether it's in your business and your family, as a mom, as a father, as a human being, then you get stressed. We're not in control because our energy deviates to too many places. And it's like, what you focus on, you attract. So if we're attracting too many things at the same time, it automatically puts our body in a stress mode because there's way too many things to handle. So we don't find joy in it. That's usually how it's connected. The stress comes out of doing too many things that we don't find joy in. Because if you're doing something, and even if you're spending a long time on your project, but you love it, you love serving people, it's giving you, like Norman said, it's giving you a financial, you actually put yourself forth into that job and you feel amazing, like you have fun with it. And it's a crucial point. I love the 25K story that Norman gave. I completely forgotten about it. So thank you for a reminder for me as well. And it really brought me into when people say what is one of the most efficient and successful tactics, and we all have different. So, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for all of you. But what is one of the most important tactics or tools you used in a personal development world apart from gratitude? It's the 6 to-do list. This is Earl Nightingale, who created in a Nightingale Conan Corporation a list, and he taught people that how you get successful, you get 6. I stick with 6. Guys, if you need to do 3, do 3. There's no limits. I'm going to talk about 6 because that's my habit. Every night I set 6 things that are goal. This is not to-do list. This is goal-oriented sort of list. But when I say goal, I mean your dream. So include all 4 pillars of your life, whether it's love and relationship, health and well-being, work, job or life path, and time and financial freedom. It's good to have one of each, because really that, people talk about balance, but there's really isn't such a thing as balance, because when we are challenged with health, you're going to put way more energy into being healthy. If you're financially challenged, you're going to place your energy into sorting yourself financially. If you're looking for a new job and you're really unhappy in your current job, that's where you're going to put the focus on. So, when people say, oh, find the balance in your life, there's no such a thing. It's the waves. And we just need to really learn what needs more attention and how to not overstress with something that comes as an issue, as we're talking here about, but bring it to the more calmer sort of wave. So the 6 task is I put down 6 and then I look at those 6. And similar like Norman, I looked at what's the most important, place them in the order of importance that they need to be done. So next day I wake up and I start with number 1. I put number 1 a thing I want to do the least. The thing that is the hardest, it takes the longer time, the less joy I have in it. It's something like Norman said, it's something that has to be done. And nobody's going to do it for you. It has to be done. Because when you train yourself to get out of the way the thing that challenges you the most or you find the hardest, you set yourself for success already for the day. Why? If you keep that thing to the rest of the day, your thoughts, your assumptions go all day into that task you have to do and don't want to. So you're creating such a negative kind of energy within your body and soul, because you might not be doing it first thing in it, but you living in the lack of energy or unlike of the energy for entire day. Like, oh my God, I have to do this today. I have to do. And by the time you said it 100 times, you would have actually be better off just doing it straight away. It's a huge, huge key. Get rid of the thing you want to do the least for every day and set yourself for success by just doing that. And then move to number 2. And until number 2 is done, don't go, and be easy on yourself. If 2 tasks are what you've done out of 6, then you move the 4 to next day. Don't make a habit of it as well. I'm going to say it lovingly, because we don't want to make a habit into, well, I'm moving everything to next day anyway. You want to do the best, but as long as you know, I've done the best today, I've handled the most I could with what I had from wherever I had, because life throws things at us. So, there are days you can actually do 12 tasks and there are days you do 1. So just be kind to yourself and say, I actually did the best I could. But ask yourself, am I wasting time, investing time, spending time, or killing time? Because if you're killing it and you watch the movie and you didn't get off the task, well, then you're really not setting yourself in efficiency. So where are you placing your time? And that is why it controls. Be in control. It's really important to see where your energy goes. If you're actually one of those who'd rather watch 3 hours Netflix or, and movies, and you say, well, I didn't have time to finish it, well, that should be an indication that you're prioritizing things that don't put any greatness into your life, in a sense of you're not growing. We do have to think of what is really worthy for me. And like Norman said, have your values. So really align with your values. But that's another subject on the movie. So I'll go back to our efficiency.
And set yourself up for success. What Vladi just shared, I really love. And I was reminded of a video I saw a couple of years ago. I think it was a Navy SEAL commander. And he said, if you want to set up yourself for success, make your bed in the morning. And I think we even spoke about that before, Vladi. And since then, I do it. And if I just flip my blanket open and put it up in a nice way, if you do something for you, where you follow a routine, right first thing in the morning, you set yourself up for success rather than you crawl out of bed and you leave everything the mess it was, and you just don't start with the right mindset. And the other thing that just came to me while I listened to Vladi was what I told my event team many, many years ago while I was still an event manager, when we spoke about tasks and what tasks should we do first, second, third. I always said, start in the morning with the tasks where you need other people, which means if I need an answer for Vladi on my to-do list, I start with that. I wrote her text messages or I write her an email, something that she has time to reply while I do other things. If I postpone that and put that to the end and said, now I write Vladi at 5 in the afternoon, but I need the answer until 5:30, shame on me. I wasted a whole day, not for me, but also for her. I cannot expect that she sits in front of her computer 24/7. If you need to reach other people and you make it in a kind of written way and you just don't call, make that first, that they have more time to respond while you do and work on the things that, yeah, nobody needs to reply to you or work towards you. That's another idea I just had. Vladi, let's take the stress topic and move it probably a little bit for the next 10, 12 minutes into another direction. Do you think stress can be homemade? Do you think stress can be reduced by, I don't know, thinking different or feeling different or acting different? What are your thoughts?
I love this topic because stress is actually self-caused. When we're out of control, and I know there are situations, and you probably guys thinking like, what is she talking about? Because there's stuff that's happening in the world, right? The war now, like lots of things, but we stress about it. So stress is very related to attitude, in my personal opinion. So going through attitude and learning whether I respond or react to what happens is a huge indicator of stress. Now, if I know for sure for me that I've reduced my stress, if I had any. I mean, I was genuinely happy, but I would get stressed with things that, like when I was building a career in a corporate world, something didn't work and I would get upset that, oh my God, like I've made a mistake. I would actually not allow myself mistakes. I wasn't easy on myself. And that is actually part where the stress starts. It's not what other people do, it's what you do to yourself. It's the way you talk to yourself, the way you judge yourself continuously. Like we judge ourselves, oh, I should have done this. And that is already activating a stress hormones by me just not going in there. Okay, clear mind, you come and say, this happened. I reacted to it. I won't do this again. If you focus on really responding and not reacting in any situation possible, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's simple. It's like all you need to do is practice yourself into responding. And the more you practice yourself in responding, you eliminate stress because the stress is very connected to your self-love. I think that's the core, really. So if you think about what is your self-love, so many people are helping others. They're passionate about what they do, everything. But when it comes, and Norman's special in this, like this is his specialty, helping people with self-love, it's your worthiness. If I know I'm worthy and I do the best I can, okay, fine, I failed in something. Failure is just another opportunity to grow, right? So how can I do this differently? How can I do it better? What have I learned? What didn't work? Why didn't it work? I mean, let me try it again and have fun with it like a kids. They start walking, they copy us, they monitor us like, oh, make a decision like, I want to walk too, like all these adults walking around me, they're gonna stand up and fall and stand up and fall and stand up and fall. They're not going to say, okay, that's it, I'm done. I'm never going to walk in my life again. They don't make decisions like this. So they just keep going until they master it. And we somewhere in adulthood lose this willingness to just keep going until we master it. We get impatient because this world is very frantic, it's very rushed energy. Everything has to be done in half an hour. Like Norman talking about this is great. Like really think about how you set yourself up, because then people have expectations. When I used to be in corporate world, it was like this competition, who answers faster and the client service. But really, is that where we want to be putting so much pressure on ourselves? AI can do stuff. And now it's almost like people who are hiring you for a job, you're competing with an AI, which is a complete technology. And they say, oh, but we can have it faster because this person just does the command. And it's disconnection. It's disconnection from ourselves. There is a huge problem is going to come up because we're just letting it go too far. Yes, use the technology for benefits and advantage, but we're just literally allowing it to overtake our skills, our connection, our human love. And really the stress comes from you. So if you chill and say, what's the worst thing that can happen? I am comparing myself with me only. So if you don't hold the competition, you and the world outside and the other people and other coaches and other speakers, and I'm not the best speaker. I have Norman helping me. But you know what? You get out there and you focus on people. Because when you switch off the monitor of yourself, the way you monitor yourself with the critique and judgment and everything connected to self-love, you tune it down to mute it actually, and pay attention to the audience. Pay attention to how can we share a message that can help you guys. Even if it helps one person, it's already great. Then you actually won't be stressed about, because you're not focusing on, did I sit straight? Did I wave too much of my hands? Like you're actually focusing on really downloading and speaking from your heart, giving people message. I really think stress is self-made because we buy into things that people stress us. Media stresses us all the time with the news they give us. They do it intentionally and people buy. But I mean, this has been known for centuries and people still will get so upset watching politics, news, sports and stuff. How does this change your and your family's life in the daily basis? It doesn't. You just get upset and then you take it down on your family sometimes, even if you're a sports fan and your team who you're obsessed with loses, you take it on your maybe wife and the kids, and you come with this horrible attitude at home like, that's it, like how is really your life changing because a team wins or loses? It has no real impact on your life. But you making an impact and you're bringing a negative energy into family and everywhere just because you are upset that the team lost. You're not even in a team. Norman.
So many golden nuggets, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with one idea. You talked about technology and stuff like that. I realized this morning before we pressed record, I was working, like I said, on my home pages and rewriting them and translating them in English for my English version, and I used ChatGPT to support me. It's interesting if you're used to a certain speed, if you're in the habit of a certain speed, like you punch it in and it comes out after 2-3 seconds, you're used to that. Now, I use a ChatGPT version from a mentor, and the mentor put in some special language patterns and stuff like that. And for some reason, this version of ChatGPT is quite slow from time to time. So sometimes I sit there for half a minute or a minute and nothing happens. And if I switch windows or go in Word or into my mails, it just freezes. Then I have to punch in a question mark again, and then ChatGPT remembers. It just takes much longer. And I realized that it stresses me because I'm used to a faster version. When there was the first Wi-Fi on an airplane, I'm not quite sure, was it American Airlines or Delta? They announced it big time. They said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, today is the first flight where we have Wi-Fi over the skies, and everybody was woo-woo, all excited. They went into the air, put the Wi-Fi on, it was on for 1 second, and off it was for the rest of the flight. The people were so miserable. And imagine, they never had Wi-Fi over the clouds. They were used their whole life to have no Wi-Fi connection over the clouds. But as somebody told them they will have it, This caused the stress. And like Vladi shared earlier, stress is homemade. It's just made up in your mind based on your values, based on your beliefs, based on your habits, what you think is the right thing. And as Vladi just spoke about the team, what is the truth anyway to stress you? Let's imagine you have a, I don't know, American football game and you're a player on the field. I think you have a lot of stress because you get bumps and bruises and big guys running at you and wanting to tackle you down. You really have stress. Maybe you're an extra player on the bench. You're sitting outside. The stress and the reality is actually less because you're not in the game. You don't get punched into the butt and the face and the stomach. You're just watching from the outside. Then we have fans that are sitting in the stands. They even have less stress because there's not even a possibility that they go onto the field. They're just bystanders and watching. So the reality becomes less and less, and the stress becomes less and less. And then we have bystanders watching at home. They're not even in the stadium. They even have less stress because they're sitting in the comfort of their home. They have no stress and they have a total different reality. And then we have people like Vladi shared with the news that are not even watching the American football game. They don't have stress at all because they don't even know that there's a game and that it's about winning and losing. It's the same with the news. If you stop watching the news, you take so much stress out of your life because you don't even know, you're not even aware that something is happening on the outside. And on the outside, I don't mean in your reality. Outside in other parts of the world, in other countries, that has no effect on you at all. But you get stressed about stuff where you have no influence over. Basically, it's not even in your life. And this creates stress in your own surrounding, in your to-do list that you can handle. But whatever happens in another faraway country, you just cannot handle and you have no clue how to solve that. So I think for this podcast, Vladi, we can say stress is really homemade. We gave you many, many ideas and tools how to handle that much better. And Vladi, I leave it up to you to make the closing statement for today's stress, our anti-stress call.
You know, I'm gonna say last sentence, and this, guys. What Norman just said, you can bring into this. I remember my boy plays tennis, and you know how parents get involved and they're like, but it was in and it was out. They get so wind up by not even being in the game. So really, the coach turned around to the parents and he said, I am the coach and I call it in or out, and whatever I say goes. And that gave me an idea. You probably have heard me if you listen to one of my mindsets. A couple of years ago, I actually recorded a video about this because you are an empire of your life. Nobody else. You are empire of your life, and whether you call it in or out, it's your shot, and nobody can do anything about it. So what you choose, that stays. So I'd like to next episode we can talk about addictions, because that really goes well with these attachments we make ourselves. Everything we're talking about now, you know, like how you with these football teams and stuff, you get attached to certain things or people, and that actually is very related to the stress and energy in your life because you get addicted to it. And we don't even pay attention to the addictions we have. And some of them are super unhealthy. And I'm not even talking addictions as drugs. I'm talking genuinely every kind of addiction. Food, stress, I mean, that's all related. So let's talk about the next episode.
Love it.
And just be empire of your life. You call it in or out. You choose. It's your life. You can design it or you live by default. But the default, remember, is running you by the programming you set. So you want to design your life, not live it by default.
What a beautiful closing statement. And I want to add two more sentences as Vladi's story just triggered something in me. I was watching my boys, both Lewis and Philip had tournaments last week and a sports game. And when Philip was done, the trainer stepped in, got the team together and said, you know, I know this referee was not really on our side, but he makes the calls. So for next time, I want you to focus on your game. We don't complain, we don't bitch, we don't mourn, we don't talk to others about, we don't talk about it 2 hours after the decision he made. We just continue our thing because some things we cannot change. But if we get stuck in this. But he said something and he was at the wrong time and he was favoring the other team. It will not help us. And like Vladi said, it has all to do with addictions. Are we addicted to positive or negative things? And we will hear and talk more about that in next episode, episode 31. Until then, have a wonderful week and we see and hear you very soon. Bye bye.
See you soon. Thank you.